Hi there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, GM Potter here, and today we will be discussing When You Trap a Tiger by Keller. So this book is actually a young adult fiction book. It is a Newberry Medal winner, which is pretty impressive. It does have a 4.16 on Goodreads. I would give it a solid 5 stars. It is magical realism, which is a newish genre for me. I usually go with like full-on fantasy, or I go with like more realism. So this was a little bit different. It's told in first person over the course of a summer, and it is utterly delightful. The tagline is "Some stories refuse to be bottled up." Our main characters are Lily. She is our narrator. She just finished 6th grade, and she still believes in magic and the stories her grandmother has always told her. And then we have her older sister, Sam, who's too old for magic and too old for stories and going through her angsty years. And then we have Halmoni, which means grandmother in Korean. She believes in magic, and she's battling a brain tumor. It does have a happy ending, but the happy ending is not what you think it's going to be. So, Lily, Sam, and their mom move back into town with Halmoni because she's sick. Lily has been seeing a large, like car-sized, like large tiger. To heal her grandmother, she makes a deal with the tiger, even though in the stories tigers are very dangerous and very trickstery, to return the stories her grandmother stole to the sky as stars. But for each story she tells, each story she lets free, her grandmother seemingly gets worse. And so it's dealing with growing up and dealing with mortality, but it does it in such a beautiful and elegant way that I think it's done rather well. There are like some of the reviews on Goodreads are like, "Oh, this is awful," and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, no, you just didn't get it. Like it's a beautiful story, and learning as I'm doing this not to read the reviews on Goodreads, because some of the people on there are just full of hate and full of misery, and they want everybody else to be full of hate and misery too. One of my favorite things about the story is Lily is still childlike. Like, I feel like a lot of times young adult books like this don't let the children, like she just finished 6th grade, she's still a child, but they don't let the children be childlike. And so I think that's really important, is to let children be children in books. That I think back to the Harry Potter series, and like, yeah, he's angsty and yeah, blah blah blah, but like you've got like Hermione, who's like a 30-year-old in an 11-year-old's body, and she's like, well, actually, blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, some kids are like that, but a lot of times in young adult stories, it's so clearly written from the point of view of an adult that you lose all of that childlike wonder and all of that exploration and interest in the world that children just naturally have. So I think that's really cool about the book. It's not based on any quote unquote real Korean myths. It's more the stories that the author's grandmother would tell her, kind of like the family stories that get passed down. So I thought that was interesting too, because my family, I'm mostly German and Norwegian, but I didn't get told like stories of Thor. Like when I was a little kid, I got told like bears and blueberries and things like that. So to see kind of a slice of life into someone else's culture, and to see how they view stories, how they view storytelling, how they view magic in a different culture, I think is always really cool. I feel like a lot of times we don't get enough representation, and it's up to us as the reader to go and seek it out. So this one, I think, is really good and really fantastic, shall we say. It's very fantastical. I highly recommend reading it, even if you're not the sort of person who like reads children's books. Like, I recommend reading it just because it's so good. So, have you read When You Trap a Tiger? What did you think of it? Do you like magical realism? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!